Hi everyone, it's Destroyer here. I've got a lot of people asking me about village layouts. This is my Stronghold level 14, which I designed a couple of days ago. However, it's not doing too well so far. So I've mostly had a lot of losses. And the reason behind this is because my defenses are very well spread apart. So I initially created this to give the most coverage and to keep most of my buildings inside the wall and protected by defenses. So this means that the enemy won't be able to gain too much mana before getting inside. So as you can see, most of my defenses aren't covering the stronghold in the middle, so most of the time I only need to lose about a quarter of my base, and then my stronghold is open to attack by a dragon. So let's have a look at my defensive log, and you can see that I only managed to win 2 out of 7 there, and I lost quite a lot before that. So sometimes I manage to get lucky, maybe I have a lower stronghold attacking me. So I am going to redesign this one. Unfortunately, you can only have one design. I would have liked if you could have one for multiplayer attacks and one for Kingdom Wars. However, I'm going to focus mostly on Kingdom Wars since I do try and spend most of my loot before my shield expires. So I'm going to fast forward through this because it does take quite a long time to redesign. So what do you guys think of the village editor here? Many of you who've played Samurai Siege may be used to the Samurai Siege editor. But currently it's working out okay here since we don't have that many buildings to move around, and there is the multi-select feature. So the stronghold I will have right in the middle. It is a 5x5 building, but since most of the defenses are 3x3, I'm going to leave a 6x6 hole in the middle, and it's much easier to redesign with the stronghold out, so you can see things much better here. I do have the 2 Primus conduits on opposite corners, and my focus here is to prevent a dragon snipe. So I do have my 3 sky watchers close to the middle, as well as the flare tower. That does pretty good against dragons. So my biggest area defenses are the catapults and the arrow launchers, so I'm keeping them as close to the middle as possible. Plus they are on the Primus conduits, so that gives them faster firing speed. So once again, I'm going to keep all of these bigger bulky buildings in the middle too, such as the dragon roost and the barracks. So I don't want someone to drop a dragon on there and let it recharge, then they'll be able to do several passes over my base. So some of these towers may be reachable with the dragon, however they will be stuck with what to do with it. It will eventually die, they won't be able to keep moving it. So the portals, I do normally try and keep them close to the middle, however that is very valuable territory for defenses. So I do have them around the middle to outer layer. Since people don't commonly attack from all sides, it's okay to have your portals on the outside, just as long as you spread them well apart. So I do try and keep them equally spread all the way around the outside. As I said, this is a Kingdom Wars design, so I don't really care too much about the storage. However, since you can only have one design, I still keep them spread apart. I'll have one on either side of the base. And the smelters, they're mostly put on the outside since you don't care much about those. But you still want to protect them, so I'm mostly protecting that with the large range catapults and arrow launchers. But I also like to keep those watchtowers spread around as well. So that'll help the enemy gaining too much mana before they come in heavy with all their troops. So far it's looking good. I am still slightly tweaking it, which I also will do once I get a few defenses. So no doubt there will be some weak spots here and there, especially with these lack of walls. I can't completely do a dual layer with all the buildings on the inside. So that may be some point of entries on the left and right and in the north. However, I do have that north fairly well covered with the flare tower, the arrow launcher and the catapult. So my biggest concern is probably going to be in the east and west. However, if you attack from the east and west, you have to deal with both of those Primus conduit defenses on either side of you. So that's fairly well protected, but we will see how that goes. I do have my spell towers close to the outside, so maybe that'll help against paladins and any warden attacks there. I haven't really decided what spells I want to put on them yet. So far I have the curse and the fire. but I may change them later on. I'll just have to think about that for a while. So one thing you need to keep in mind is there's no such thing as an ultimate base. There's so many different ancients that have their own pros and cons, so you won't be able to defend well against all of them. For instance, I have a lot of concentrated defenses in the middle here, which would be weak against Talison's magnetic pulse and also Forveil's third spell. So just keep that in mind. So just watch your defensive replays and fine tune it as you see fit. So this is the final design I've gone with right here. I will just go back into edit mode and view the defensive ranges here. I do cover the entire base, but some of it is reachable by wardens. But you'll notice right in the middle here that it's very white. That means I have a high concentration of defensive coverage here. So if I move the Stronghold out, you can see there's a lot of overlapping in the middle. So that was my intention. I want to make sure that the Stronghold will prevent a dragon attack. And I'll see how that goes in future wars. So let me know if you see any vulnerabilities here. I will keep in touch and let you know how it goes with my defensive replays, and I'll also fine tune it as I see fit as well. Stay tuned for another video shortly, which will be my Stronghold level 6 design. I don't have as many buildings of course, however I'll follow the same principles of keeping the defences close to the Stronghold and keeping the other buildings close by as well. So stay tuned for that later. See you guys.